Today we are going to be talking about systems of inequalities. Systems of inequalities. So we've seen inequalities before, and in fact, let's take a look. This goes all the way back to what you guys tested on like in December. So November, December, we've seen these before. And what we're going to be seeing today is something a little bit more complicated, because in this example, I only have one inequality. But what do we know about systems? How many equations are usually in a system?
Two.
Right, two, exactly. So I want to start off with this example, just so that we remember what it looks like when there's only one. But on the next page, you guys are going to see what it looks like when there's two. All right, so here is my inequality. Y is less than 2x plus 7. And we're trying to match it. Okay, we're trying to see which of these matches with that inequality. So remember, the inequality tells you a lot of information. Can anyone point out something that this inequality tells me about the graph?
What type of line it is?
What type of line it is, exactly. So this symbol tells me a couple things about the line. So what do we know about it?
It is.
Let's see if we can remember all the way back before.
It's a dotted line.
Good, Alyssa. We have a dotted
Not
line.
solid.
Dotted line. Okay, what else does that tell me?
It also tells you that what side is shaded and what side isn't.
Good, good. So first of all, this is, what type of symbol? Is that a greater than or is that less than?
Less
Less
than.
than.
Right?
Yeah, this is less than. So where am I going to be shading? Above or below?
Below.
Below.
Exactly. So it's a dotted line, and we're going to shade below the line. So that already tells me a lot of information, and I can already even eliminate two answer choices. Can anyone tell me which answer choices I can already get rid of?
C and D.
C and D are out, because C and D have a solid line, and we know it's supposed to be a dotted line. Okay, well, we're going to need to use a little bit more information, but we can get that from our numbers. The 2 tells me something, and the 7 tells me something. What is that?
7 is the y-intercept.
Good. 7 is my y-intercept. So I know that my y-intercept is at 0, 7. And what does the 2 tell me?
Slope.
Good, that's my slope. My slope, m equals 2. All right, so look at, that's a lot of information. We're definitely going to get our answer now. In fact, we can get our answer just by looking at the y-intercept, because one of them is crossing at the 7 and the other one is not. Which one is out?
B.
B is out. B is crossing down here at what looks like -7, maybe 7.5 even. So this is not even close. This is in the negatives. But A is crossing the y-axis at the correct spot. This is at 0, +7. And just like we needed it to, it has a dotted line and it's shading below. And I know some people in my first period had a little trouble because if your computer's not very bright, it might be hard to tell. But if you look closely, this is shaded in this area over here below. So that is an inequality. That is one single inequality. Do I have any questions about that at this point? Okay, before we move on to the next slide, I just want to remind us what each symbol does. So we've done this little chart in the past, but right now I would like everyone to go ahead and just copy it down in their notebooks, just on the corner somewhere on your page where you can refer back to it during class today. So in an inequality, you have 4 different options. You can have a less than sign or a greater than sign. And then you can have less than or equal to, and then greater than or equal to. Now, what happens when you have a less than sign or less than or equal to sign? Do I shade above or do I shade below?
Below.
Shade below.
That's below. Greater than, and then greater than or equal to, we shade above. So that part's pretty straightforward, right? If it's less than, it's below. If it's greater than, it's above. And then if it's just less than or just greater than, what type of line do you have? Solid or dotted?
Dotted line.
Dotted.
This is a dotted line. But if it's less than or equal to, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that's going to be a solid line. All right, so this chart is going to be very useful to have in front of you, but make sure that all of this information is memorized by the time you have a test, okay? This is something that you can use during class, but if you're taking a test or a quiz, you should already have it memorized. Any questions on that? All right, I'll give you about 15 more seconds to copy it down if you haven't done so already. All right. Okay, so now let's actually, I know you guys are all at the edge of your seat. You just can't wait to find out what it looks like when you have a system of inequalities. So here we go, without any further ado. There it is. There is a system of inequalities. Can I get a volunteer to read for us the definition of a system and then the solutions of a system? So basically just read this little blurb.
A system of linear inequalities consists of two or more linear inequalities that have the same variable.
Good. And continue reading, please.
Oh, the solutions of a system of linear equalities are all the ordered pairs that make all the inequalities in the system true.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so, all right, it's kind of a little crazy, right? We've got two lines, both of them are being shaded. So what I want you guys to start out with is just really the only thing that I want you to write is the second definition, because that's the important one. The solution, so when I ask for the solution, it is everything that makes both inequalities true. And I'll explain what that looks like in 30 seconds after you've written that down. All right, so as you guys finish writing that definition, let's actually, I'm gonna kind of break down what's going on in this situation here. So I have two equations, right? These two equations, well, there's kind of some differences between them. The bottom one is written in slope-intercept form. But what about the top one? What's that one written in?
Standard?
Yeah, this is standard form. Good job. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I like to trash talk standard form because standard form doesn't really give me any useful information. Only slope-intercept form gives me useful information. So what I want you guys to do is take a look just at the blue equation. So we're going to kind of ignore the green one for now because that one is trash. So look at the blue one. And what is something I know about the blue inequality? Something about the graph that we just talked about. What is some key information I know about the graph of the blue inequality?
Oh, y-intercept is -3.
It's a dotted line.
Okay, those are two perfect things. I know that it's dotted, and I know the y-intercept is -3. And that's actually like the most useful parts, because now I can identify which of these two is the bottom equation. I know I'm looking for a dotted line with a y-intercept at -3. Boom, there she is. So this one, this dotted one, matches with the blue equation. And then that means that the other line has to be the green one. Now, the dotted line, is that one shaded above or below? Based on that symbol.
Below.
Okay, below.
No, wait, above.
Oh, above. There you go. Yeah, this is, what type of sign is that? What type of symbol is that?
Greater than.
Greater than. So I know that this is above. So I'm just going to show you what's going on here. This entire area, you can, even though it's in black and white, that's why I'm trying to color it in, because it's a little easier to see. This entire area is shaded for the blue line. Okay? That whole area, because everything above the blue line gets shaded with blue. But then what about the green line? So now let me make my line. Here's my green line. Should I be shading above the green line or below the green line?
Below.
Below the green line. That's good. So let's take a look at what happens when I do that. I'm shading everything that's below this green line. So I'm shading all of this whole area. Okay, so I have some blue shading and then I have some green shading. And what is happening in one part of this whole graph? So the blue goes on one part of it, the green happens on another part of it, and what kind of happens in this area? What's happening there?
They're like overlapping.
They're overlapping, exactly. This whole region of my graph is where they overlap. That's a really good word for that. Well, that whole area is the solution. So it's kind of weird to think about, but basically the solution is just the part where both inequalities match up, where they overlap. So what that means is I have some points are going to be a solution, and some points are not going to be a solution. So what I want to do is I want to just do a little, let's do a little matching, a little matchy match. Okay. I'm going to put a point down. You guys tell me, is it in the solution or is it not a solution? I'll start easy. 4, 2. Is that in the solution or out of the solution?
In the solution.
Good. 4, 2 is in, because that point is within that red area. You can think of it like, you know, like the floor is lava, like that red area is my lava, that is my solution, that is where I want to be. So that 4, 2 is in the solution. What about, again, I'll make it easy. What about -8,
Yes.
-2?
If it was lava, then you wouldn't want to be in there. Also, it's not in that solution.
Okay, so instead of lava, let's make it
The safe space.
it's in the safe space. I love that. Yes, that is my safe space. Okay. So -8, -2, well, that's over here. -8, -2, that's not in the solution. It's not in the safe space. Now let's kick it up a little bit. What about -4, 8?
Not solution.
Not solution. But -4, 8 is in this shaded region. How come it's not a solution?
It's not overlapping with the other solution.
Good. It's only in the blue, right? That one is only a solution to the bottom equation, but we need something that's a solution for both of them. It has to match both. Okay. Let's do
Miss, so is it a solution or is it not a solution?
oh, it's not a solution, my bad. I put it in the wrong place. Oops. Okay. How about this one? 2, 8. In the solution or not in the solution?
In the solution?
Not.
Ooh. So where is it physically located? 2, 8 is on the line. It's on the green line. So what do you guys think? Is it in the solution or out of the solution? If it's on that green line.
It's in. It's in.
Yeah,
It's less than or equal to.
Yeah, good. It is in. Because remember, that green line, that's less than or equal to. So if you're on that green line, since it's a solid line, you're good. You made it. You're safe. But what about 0, -4? Where's that?
Not a solution?
No.
Right. Where's that located? 0, -4 is on which line?
The y-axis.
Rotated.
Good. Oh, sorry. I meant to put 0, -3. My bad. 0, -3. Sorry. Where is that located? I see Christopher's.
On the line.
Right. It's on the blue line. Since that point is on the blue line, what's wrong with that blue line?
It's a dotted line.
It's a dotted line.
Yeah.
Actually, less than.
Right. So think about, I don't know if any of you have ever played like Super Mario, but you know when it's in the lava scene and he's hot, if you like fall in the crack, like into the lava, what happens?
You die.
You die. So you can think about it like that. A dotted line, if you jump on the dotted line, it's going to be like a crack. Like you're going to fall through the cracks. You die, you're out. Not a solution. So do I have any questions on what counts as a solution and what doesn't count as a solution?
No.
No questions? Going once? Going twice? All right, cool. So what we're going to do now for almost the rest of class is we're actually going to be graphing these inequalities. So I want to show you guys what it looks like to actually graph them on your own. And it's going to follow some very important steps. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. We're going to solve the system of equations or inequalities by graphing. So let us just first take a look at these two equations. I'm always going to label them, and I like to color code them because it's just a lot easier to visualize it when it's colorful. Are these equations written in slope-intercept form or standard form?
Slope-intercept.
Slope-intercept.
Good. Both of them are in slope-intercept form, which is good. That is awesome. Because slope-intercept form is the one that's easier to graph with. Because what does slope-intercept tell you?
The slope and the y-intercept.
The slope and the y-intercept, which is like the two most important things you need. So what we can do is we're going to look at both equations, and I'm just going to write down all of the important information. So I want to know what the symbol tells me. So remember, your symbol tells you if you're shading above, below, if you have a dotted line or a solid line. I want to know what...
It is solid and above.
Good, perfect. You got it even before. Okay, solid and above. And remember, that just goes back to that chart we wrote down. So if you have that chart in front of you, it's going to be really easy to remember which one that's going to be.
The other one is below and dotted.
That's correct, but we're gonna wait to do that one in a moment. Okay, so far I have my symbol. Now let's take a look at the slope. So what is my slope?
2.
2.
2. My slope is 2. M equals 2. Well, remember, whenever you have a whole number, what should you turn it into?
Fraction.
Fraction.
Right, we want it to be a fraction. So 2 is the same as 2 over 1.
1.
And what does that tell me to do?
2 up and 1 to the right.
Beautiful. Up 2 since it's positive, 1 to the right since that 1 is also positive. Okay, slope is good. Y-intercept is the last thing left. It's my 6. So my B is 6, which means that that's my starting point. I'm going to start at 0, 6. So now I have everything I need. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph this. Now, on a test, like the one that you're going to take for this topic, so just your normal topic test, you do not have to graph anything. However, on the EOC in May, you will have to graph these on your computers, like using technology. So right now, don't stress about the graphing too much because you're not going to really need it right now. But once we start reviewing for the EOC at the end of the year, I'll definitely have you guys practice how to do this. So for now, the most important information is what I just wrote down. So make sure you write this down. But as for graphing, like I said, we'll worry about that a little bit more in like April. All right. So let me just go ahead and do this. So now my y-intercept is where I begin. That's 0, 6. And then I'm going to go up 2 units and then 1 unit to the right. So up 2 and then 1 to the right. And I'll do it one more time. Up 2 and then 1 to the right. Then before I draw my line, I just want to check. It's going to be a solid line. So I'm just going to connect it like normal and make it all the way across. You always want it to go all the way across to get the best graph possible. And then I'm shading above. So what that means is everything above that line, this whole entire area is going to get shaded. All right, questions on that? Questions on graphing that first line? So we still got to do another one. Cool, cool. All right. So now equation B. Can I erase what I wrote in blue, or is anybody still writing? Okay. All right, I'm going to erase. Equation B, again, it's already in slope-intercept form, so we know a lot of information. It's going to be very helpful. I need to know what my symbol tells me, which Christopher already said, but I already forgot Christopher. So can you say it one more time?
Dotted.
Dotted and below. So it's kind of the opposite. Okay, what about my slope in this example? What's my slope?
-1/2.
-1 over 2. Now it's negative, so this time, where am I going?
Down.
Down 1. And that 2 remains positive, so just the number 1 is negative, the 2 is positive, so I still go 2 units to the right. So it's down 1, 2 to the right. And then what's my y-intercept? Let's be very careful. What's the y-intercept in this one?
-1.
-1. Good. So just make sure we always look at the symbol in front of it, the sign. So B is -1, which means I start at 0, comma, -1. Now I have everything I need. I'm ready to graph. Here we go. 0, comma, -1 is where I begin. Then I'm going down 1 and 2 to the right. So down 1, 2 to the right, down 1, 2 to the right. And I can actually do it as many times as I want just to get a nice even graph. Okay, now in this case, it's going to be a dotted line. So when I connect it, I'm just going to make it into kind of like just a bunch of little dots or dashes. Okay. And I'm shading it below. So remember, it's not just one part of it, it's everything underneath that green line. It gets shaded. And that is it. That is my graph. Do I have any questions before I move on? Any questions on how I got it? Any part at all?
No.
No questions? Okay. So now let's just quickly identify a couple of points that are in the solution and a couple of points that are out of the solution. So can anyone just give me a point, any point, and then we'll determine together if it's in or out.
-6, -3.
-6, comma, -3. Is that in or is that out, you guys? -6, comma, -3.
In.
In, yeah. That is in the solution. That would be right over here. Okay. In the chat, I'm seeing 0, comma, -8. Is that one in or out?
Out.
Good. 0, comma, -8 is down here. That one is only part of the green, not part of both. So that one's out. What about, I'm seeing it in the chat, -8, comma, -2. Where's that going to be?
Out.
That would be out. -8, comma, -2. Where's that?
Oh, in.
In, yeah. -8, comma, -2. That's right here. That one's in. Anyone want to give me one final one to do together?
Six. No. -6, +3.
Okay, those are that one, and then I saw one in the chat. These are both very good. -3, comma, 0, and then -6, +3.
Yes.
Okay, take a look at those. Those are perfect. Those are really good examples. Can anyone tell me where does -3, comma, 0 go? And I see Christopher just put it on there. So it looks like it's on the blue line. So is it in or out?
It's out.
In.
In, yeah. It's in because it's on the blue.
Oh, it's solid.
It's solid, yeah. Well, what about the other one? -6, comma, 3. Oh, and you know what? I drew my line a little bit crooked, Christopher, so I'm going to just edit that. Hold on. The line should pass through -6, comma, 2. So apologies for that. I'll fix that. -6, comma, 2 is on the green line. So is that one in or out?
Out.
That one's out. Good. Because it's on the green line. What happens on the green line? It's going to fall through the cracks, not going to be part of the solution. Any questions on that? On graphing? Now remember, like I said, the actual graphing part of it, we're not going to worry too much about that until later on in the year. But everything we wrote down, all of this information, very important that we know how to find it. So knowing what the slope is, knowing what the y-intercept is, and knowing what type of symbol you have, that's going to help you out on the multiple choice questions that you're going to see on a test. And we'll see some examples at the end of class today. All right, well, that's one thing. It's great if you have everything in slope-intercept form. But what happens when, let me find a good example, hold on. Here's a pretty good one. What happens when you've got this scenario? So what is everything written in here?
Standard.
That's standard form. And remember what I always say about standard form, it is actual garbage, trash. Throw it out the window. It is not going to help you to graph.
So what did standard form ever do to you?
It broke my heart, to be honest. I got one question wrong one time because I forgot to convert it into y-intercept. And instead of getting 100% on my algebra test, I got a 98. It was a really sad day for me.
I really don't see how that's a problem.
I'm a perfectionist, so that's what's going on. What happened? What did you, who's drawing on my board? Clear those drawings. Okay.
I removed the standard form as garbage propaganda.
Well, we still have to learn how to deal with it, okay? So unfortunately, when you have standard form, there's always going to be an added extra step. What should I turn these equations into so that I can be happy and graph everything perfectly?
Slope intercept.
Yeah. So we have to convert to slope intercept form. We have to do that first. There's no other way, unfortunately. So make sure that we write this down. It's going to be a step-by-step. We got to make sure we're neat and organized so that we have all the information correctly. Okay. In order to get this into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, what needs to be isolated?
Y.
Yeah, that y's got to be all alone. So who's got to go away? Who am I kicking out?
X.
Good, Ilse. Should I add x to both sides or subtract x from both sides? Subtract. I'm going to take away the x. Take it away.
This one side doesn't have the x.
Right, that's why we're moving it over to that side. So it was on the left, but we want it to be on the right, so that's why we're subtracting it. Well, I can't do 3 minus x because those are not like terms, so I'm going to keep them separate. I can write it like this, 3 minus x, or how else can I write it? That might be a little bit better for me. Because remember, I want it to be y equals mx plus b. So which of those should I write down first?
Oh, you
X
should put
minus
the x
3.
first.
Yeah, I should put the x first. So we're just going to be very careful. Is the 3 positive or negative?
Positive.
It's a positive 3 and a negative x. Okay? So when I write it down, I'm going to write negative x plus 3. Do I have any questions on that? I just need to make sure that that's very clear. Good.
Miss, good thing you said that because I probably would have wrote it X minus.
Yeah, I know, and that's a mistake a lot of people make, so I just wanted to be extra clear about that. Okay, how do I get my y completely alone now? There's one more step.
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3, exactly. Dividing by 3 over here, dividing by 3 over there. Well,
You want x.
yeah. Remember that negative x is really negative 1x. So when I divide negative 1 divided by 3, I get a fraction. I'm going to leave it as a fraction. Negative 1/3 x. Oops. Then my 3 divided by 3 is 3
1.
divided by 3 is 1. Good. It's like second grade math. Okay. That's my final inequality. Now I know what I need to know. Now, what are the 3 things I can determine from that inequality? Actually, 4 things, technically.
The whether it is a dotted line that's above dotted.
Mm-hmm. Dotted above. Good.
The slope intercept is 1, 3.
So, and be very careful, it's negative. That negative is going to be very important. The slope is negative 1 over 3. And the y-intercept is
1.
1. Okay. That's all the information I need to know. Where am I putting my first dot?
Positive 1.
Positive 1. Specifically 0, comma 1. At my y-intercept. So I started there. Then my slope tells me where to go. So can anyone tell me where am I going next?
Down.
1 down and 3 to the
1 down and 3 to the
right.
Right.
right. Good. 1 down, 3 to the right. 1 down, 3 to the right, and I'll do it one more time. 1 down, 3 to the right. I have a dotted line, so I'm going to be careful. I'm just going to connect it with dotted lines, just like this. Go all the way across. And then I'm going to shade above. Okie dokes. Questions on that one? So see, this is why standard form is the worst. You have to do extra work. There's no way around it. Any questions?
No.
Good. Good, good. But also good if you do have questions. I love questions. So they make me a better teacher. So bring them up if you got them. All right. So that was one equation. Guess what? We still have a whole other equation. We're not even done yet. After all that work, these really take very long. Okay. So now let's look at equation B. I have a feeling this one will be easier though. To convert this to slope-intercept form, what's got to go away?
The x.
The x. Now, should I add x to both sides or subtract x?
Subtract.
Add, yeah, because it's already negative. You got it. All right, so I'm left with y is less than or equal to, and if I want to write it in the correct order, how should I write this one?
X plus 6.
X plus 6, good. What's invisible in front of that x?
1.
That's a 1, 1x. I always like to write it because it's just easier to remember that that's the slope. All right, what do I know about this graph? Shout it out.
It's solid.
Solid, good.
And it's shaded below.
Shaded below, beautiful. What else?
The y-intercept is 6.
Good, my y-intercept is 6. So 0, comma 6. And last but not least,
The slope is 1.
good. The slope is 1. And when the slope is 1, it's like the easiest thing ever because 1 is the same as 1 over 1. So it's like a small little staircase. I'm just going up 1 and then 1 to the right. All right, let's do it. Starting with 0, comma 6. That's my starting point. And then, like I said, I'm going to go up 1 and then just 1 to the right. So it's going to literally just be every little corner of this graph like that. And then I'm going to connect it with a solid line. I'll make that nice and straight, just like that. There's my solid line, and I'm shading this one below. So it's this entire area over here. Everything below that line will be shaded. All right, there she is. Can anyone give me a point that is in the solution?
3, 9.
3, 9. Good. 3, 9 is right on the right on the green line, right? 3, 9. It's on the solid line, so it is in 3, 9. I'm also seeing 8, 4. 8, 4 is also in my shaded region. Good. 8, 4 is in. Can anyone give me an example of one that is out?
-2, -10, -2.
-10, -2. Good. That's right over here. -10, -2 is out. I'm seeing in the chat -2, -9. That's another good one. -2, -9 is also out. And then one last one that I see in the chat, 0, 1. That's a really good one. 0, 1 is on the dotted line. And since it's on the dotted line, it's going to fall through the cracks. That's going to be out. Okay. Now let me see if I see any. I see a lot more in the chat, but I just want to see if there's any kind of tricky ones. But I think that's all we've got. Okay, I have one more for you guys. You guys tell me, is this one in or is it out? Let me get it. So -5, 1, in or out?
In.
In, okay. Where is it located?
It's on the solid line.
It's on the solid line. So that's -5, 1. It's on the solid line, but is it in the shaded, in the safe zone?
Oh no, so it's out.
So it's out, yeah. So that's just another tricky thing. Even if it's on the right line, just make sure it's in the safe zone as well. It's got to be in both. Any questions? Questions on this? All right. So, like I said, on the test that you guys will take, it's going to be mostly multiple choice. So let me get a good example for us to look at together. Let's start with this one. It's a little bit blurry, it might be a little bit hard to see, but you can at least tell where the dark shaded region is. So in this example, first thing, what I want to notice is I see all of these lines. I need to figure out which one is my blue, quote unquote, blue line. So which one's A and which one is B. Well, the best way to identify which one is which is to look at the y-intercept. Because I know that for A, it should be on the 4, and for B, it should be on the -2. So you guys tell me, I'm going to highlight it in red. Which line is this one? Is this one my A or is this one my B?
Your A.
Good, and that's because that one passes through the +4. Does that make sense? Does anyone need me to explain that one more time?
No.
I'll do it again if someone wants me to do it again. Okay, good. So on every single graph, now I know that this one is A. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all of those in blue. And that means that the other line is going to be my B. So then what you do is let's look at where each of them should be shaded. So based on the system, based on the inequalities, should A be above or below?
Above.
Well,
Above, right? So A should be shaded above. And then what about B?
below, above.
Also above, right? Both of them should be shaded above. So what we need to find, so let me just write this down. Above and above. We're trying to find which answer choice shows us the safe zone being above both lines. So that's where I'm gonna, because it might be hard to tell if your screen is a little bit dim, or if it's too bright, it might be hard to tell where the dark region is. So I'm gonna highlight it in red, so it's very clear. So in answer choice A, this is the dark region. This is the safe zone. In answer choice B, it's down here. In answer choice C, it's over here. And in D, it's over here. So take a look and figure out in which of those examples is the safe zone above both lines.
It's D.
Do we agree that it's D?
It's either D or B.
Either D or B.
I also think it's D.
Okay, Daniela agrees. And I see in the chat, Andy's agreeing, Ascanio agrees, Alyssa agrees. Okay, I think that's a good sign, because yes, D is correct. Now, let's just take a look, and if you don't visualize it well, let's just see what each of them is. So A would be below which line?
Blue.
Yeah, it's below the blue and it's above the green. You guys see that? B is below the blue. What about the green? Is that red area below the green line or above the green line?
Below it.
Also below it, yeah. So this one was below and below. C was above the blue line and below the green line. And D was the only one that was above the blue line and above the green line. And we needed it to be above and above, so D was the only one. And as you guys see more and more examples, it's going to be a little bit clearer. So if you're still having trouble like visualizing that, just keep watching. We'll do 2 more examples hopefully, and then hopefully that'll be a little bit easier to see. Any questions?
No.
Okay, awesome. Now, this question is the reason I hate standard form, because standard form plays tricks on us all the time. Always does. So first of all, both of these equations are in something other than slope-intercept form. So I'm going to have to turn them into slope-intercept form. Now, I don't know if I'll have enough time. We are kind of running low, unfortunately. But I want to start with inequality B, actually. And you'll see why. So just go ahead and write down B. Just by looking at it, the way it's written right now, where does it look like you're going to be shading?
Below.
Okay, so it looks like this is going to be below, right? But remember what I said, standard form plays tricks on us, and I'll show you why.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
How can the symbols change?
Let's find out. Let's find out. So we're going to solve this for y. The 2x has to go away. Should I add 2x or subtract 2x?
Subtract.
We're going to subtract.
Miss, doesn't it flip because you divide like by negative or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Let's see what happens. So right now I have negative 5y is less than or equal to, and how should I write this when I write it in the correct order?
Negative 2x plus 10.
Good, negative 2x plus 10. Well, what should I do in this step?
Subtract 5y.
Subtract 5y?
No, add
Divide.
5y.
Add 5y?
Divide by negative 5.
Divide by negative 5, because we want to get that y all alone, remember? I'm dividing by a negative number, and that's the most important thing. And if you didn't know this, now you know. When you divide by a negative, the symbol will flip. That's very, very important, okay? So what's going to happen is I used to have a less than or equal to sign. Now I'm going to have a greater than or equal to sign. Super important. This is like 99%, it's going to come up on your test because they want to see if you know this. They're going to check. They're trying to see if you remembered that rule. So you will see this on a test. I am certain of it. They love to put that on the test. So we can't let it beat you. You have to make sure you're better than the test. Unlike I was when I took my algebra EOC in 7th grade. Okay. But it's okay. I still got a 98%. So here we go. We're going to now get our final answer. That's going to be a fraction, but a negative divided by a negative is
Positive.
a positive. So I have 2/5 x, and then 10 divided by negative 5, that's going to be
Negative 2.
negative 2. So here's my final inequality. So don't let it trick you. We thought it was going to be below, but it ended up actually being above. Above, solid, and the y-intercept is negative 2. So if the y-intercept is negative 2, I know that they're talking about this line right here. And actually, at this point, I think we can get our answer. We might be able to. Or at least we can eliminate some options. Out of my 4 options, which ones can I eliminate? Remember, it has to be above the green line.
B,
Mhm.
C, D.
B, and D. Good. B and D both go below, so we know it's going to be either A or C. But unfortunately, we still need to know what's going on with the blue line. So very quickly, I'm not going to go over this maybe tomorrow, but once you turn this into y equals mx plus b, this is going to be y is less than or equal to 2x plus 1. So where is that one going? Above or below?
Above. Below.
Below.
Which it's C.
Which means it's going to be answer choice C. Exactly. C goes below the blue line and above the green line. So that's the only one that matches all of the criteria, which makes it our answer. All right, we got through a lot of information today, guys. I know that that was a lot, but I did assign, and we missed 2 questions. I'll probably do those as your bell ringer tomorrow, so no worries on that. There is an assignment on Khan Academy due Friday at midnight that is multiple choice, very similar to what we just did. So that Khan Academy, I cannot stress this enough. It is so important that you do it because that's going to be exactly what it's like on a test or a quiz. And the marking period ends on Friday. So if you're somebody who's been missing assignments, I need y'all to get those assignments in by Thursday, because I'm not going to be sitting here grading assignments during school time on Friday. So if you want anything else to be graded, it has to be done by Thursday, and you have to let me know when you do it. So if you went back and you just did an old Khan Academy, send me a message and say, hey, Miss Lopez, I just did a Khan Academy. Can you please update it in the gradebook? And I will happily do that. But you have to tell me, because it's hard for me to go back and see anybody who's done old assignments, because I don't get a notification for it. So if you just tell me, I'll make sure I get to it. Any questions before I let you guys go?
No.
No
No,
questions? All right. Well, I will see you guys tomorrow. Those of you who had to be quarantined, I'm really sorry. I hope that things are okay, and I'm praying for you guys for everything to be just fine. Just make sure you stay home, get tested, and this is our life now. So keep doing what you're doing. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys
Bye,
tomorrow.
Miss. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye, Miss.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Daniela.